scientists were doing some research on a Tibetan monk who'd been practicing meditation for probably for lifetimes, but at least for a very long time in this life. And they wanted to see what was going on in his mind and brain. And so they attached all these electrodes on his head and scalp. And once the monk was all set up, he said, well, okay, he started laughing. And he said, you put them in the wrong place. They should be here. You should be looking here. If you haven't been here for the last couple of weeks or with Lee on Monday, we're exploring the parami of loving kindness, or metta. Kind of like the big embrace. Loving kindness is considered immeasurable, not because of how big it is, but because its one fundamental quality is that it's unconditional. David spoke of loving kindness as the backbone of the paramis. When we resolve to practice loving kindness, not just toward kittens on a nice day, but even toward cockroaches on a crummy day. This is heart-mind training. And we're cultivating loving kindness beyond attraction and aversions. In other words, to a perfection. This is a radical and challenging idea, at least it is for me. But all of these practices are pointing in this direction. Susan often says, love everything into the fold of mindfulness, everything. And this includes loving every aspect of ourselves. The wanted and the unwanted, the sweet and the crummy. We've heard it taught a lot that one of the best definitions of mindfulness is learning to be the gracious host of whatever is here, be it lovely or ugly. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. This is metta. This is loving kindness. In one of the earliest Buddhist texts, it is taught that the power of metta is the practice of awakening. And it says that there is no better mindfulness in this world. There is no better way to live in this world than the practice of metta. It is a path to awaken. We can't have an expanded mind with a constrained and fickle heart. These mind-hearts are intertwined. Chitta, indistinguishable heart mind. The same. I'm pretty sure we can all feel troubled when we remember times, maybe when we were mean or dishonest. Maybe we cheated or took something that wasn't ours to take. Maybe we've even done something that we feel is unforgivable. These aren't our best moments, but they are moments of learning. And as we continue to practice and deepen our practice, I think this is one of the fruits of practice, we begin to see more clearly that these were all visitors and forces resulting from causes and conditions and experiences in our lives. And for whatever reason, maybe probably because we're not awake, we're still sleeping, they still reside in these heart minds. And one of the major healing tools in working with these visitors is loving kindness, metta. The cultivation of loving kindness helps us to uproot deeply embedded emotional patterns, or at least to be able to find our stability slowly in our own pacing. You know, we're not heroic here at the daily sit. We honor each baby step. We want to have a better relationship with these patterns, and we want to wake up out of them. And with an attitude or posture that is oriented in the direction of well-being, we can look into these heart minds as they're unfolding, moment by moment, with the deliberate intention to gentle ourselves out of the gripping attractions and aversions, or the unwholesome heart-mind states. Because when we're caught in these unwholesome states, we're caught in our reactivity because we haven't yet learned to hold something that's difficult. We all know in our own way how challenging and precarious this precious life is. We want to be a better person, and yet we can feel held back and frustrated by our stubborn habits, and sometimes we can feel helpless in the face of them. We can feel ashamed of them or reject them, maybe even try to annihilate them, certainly hide them. But when we do this, we are turning parts of ourselves into enemies. And this, of course, is the opposite of befriending. This isn't loving, and it's not kind. This is a need for me to be other than I am, or for you to be other than who you are. And as we continue to practice and deepen in our practice, we begin to understand that even aversion asks to be befriended, and that suffering can only have some relief when we have a little more willingness to be intimate with the rougher parts of ourselves. Make friends with our demons. We have a bad day, right? And where's the meta gone? Where is it? Where's the heart music when I'm feeling frustrated or agitated? We can't force the heart. We can't demand the heart to love. Love now. No. We can set up the conditions for the heart to open. We have a lifetime of turning away from the difficult, our difficult reactions, the difficult parts of ourselves, our shadows, or as Soni Rinpoche, the Tibetan teacher, refers to them, and I know I've said this before, as our beautiful monsters. I love that. They're monstrous because they can wreak havoc and distort our vision. They can make it impossible for us to connect with our hearts and with each other. They cover our vulnerability. But they are beautiful because they are sources of wisdom, if we can learn to befriend them. Beautiful in that they can be our teachers. They have wisdom to offer us. Beautiful, like a crying baby. Maybe they're beautiful because they are simply more things for us to love. Oh, here's anger. This is how it feels in the body when anger's here. This is what happens to breathing. This is what happens to the posture when anger is here. This is how the world looks through the lens of anger. Can we breathe together? Can we practice together? Can I learn to ground and settle and soothe the edges as I breathe with you? If we can hold these feelings with compassion and loving kindness, then we're not so afraid of it in the so-called others. In fact, the more intimately I know how so many others feel, this is how so many others feel. When the difficult feeling feels heard or understood, welcomed, it begins to relax in its own time, in its own pacing, not ours. Befriending is a deep practice. It's a practice of recognition and acknowledgement and acceptance. It's a practice of allowing, a practice of intimate curiosity, an intimate curiosity of direct experience, less enchanted with the content. And it's a practice of orienting toward well-being. Nothing heroic. We are exploring and practicing and growing and learning. And this is loving kindness. Thank you for listening